let's dig into that recent game against the Chicago Bulls, where the Raptors win 110-101. Yeah, they won by 9. Yeah, they covered the spread. Yeah, they only trailed at one point in the game when it was like 30-29 or 31-30. They were trailing by 1. Otherwise, they pretty much led throughout this game. Yes, they were up by 14, and the Bulls got it close late in the fourth, getting it down to 2 points. But the Raptors win by 9 points in a game where they really dominated the turnover battle. They forced 9 more turnovers than the Bulls. They scored 9 more points off of those turnovers than the Chicago Bulls. The rebound battle was the same. They took 4 more shots from the field. They took 10 more free throws, yet only won by 9, and the game was quite an uncomfortable one in the end. And the big reason why is just, it's very clearly the Raptors offense is still causing problems for this team. And in particular, those offensive struggles kind of come in the clutch, because in the defense in the clutch has been great this season. They're actually one of the best clutch defenses in the league this season. They've been one of the better clutch teams in the league this season as a whole, and just the reason is they're just getting so many stops. And they're getting enough stops that they've got one guy who can really carry them over when it comes to those clutch circumstances. So in a game like this, you really had to lean on Brandon Ingram. He put up 31 points for the Raptors on 11 of 26 shooting. Not the most efficient, but he had to just keep firing away and creating his own shot and trying to get his own looks. Like even Scottie Barnes, who had a bit of a quiet first quarter, was better from that point on at 14 points. But for so much of this game, he goes 5 of 14. But for so much of the game, he had to just get his own looks. Like nothing else was happening anywhere. Quickly was 0 of 4 from 3, 5 of 12. Didn't have a great game. RJ Barrett was only 3 of 10 and 13 points. I think 4 of those came super, super late on in the game. Where somebody asked it on social media yesterday, where would the Raptors be without Brandon Ingram? And the answer is I don't know. He was an all-star this season, of course, as an injury reserve, but still he was an all-star this season, and he's kind of needed to be, because when we get to these late game scenarios, the Raptors have no options essentially other than give it to him and kind of pray. And now teams are becoming more privy to that and doubling him more aggressively. Now it turned into a clutch and one from Colin Murray-Boyles because Brandon Ingram made a nice pass out of it. But there's so much of the offensive load that is put on Brandon Ingram. So I don't want to rag the team for winning by 9 points against the Chicago Bulls too much, because they were excellent on defense. They forced a ton of turnovers. But it shouldn't take this unbelievable display of forcing turnovers and excellent plays on defense from Scottie Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles throughout the game. It shouldn't take that to grind out a win, because in the end they really did grind this one out against the Bulls, who are a Frankenstein's monster type of team after the trade deadline. There's all these scrap parts being put together or discarded from other teams. That's what the Bulls are right now. Look how different the Bulls are now from a roster perspective than they were a month ago. And Josh Giddey, he came back from injury, yes, but was very bad, and maybe he's not 100% right now. But it was just such a struggle to get over the line against a team that really should not have been that much of a roadblock. It should have been a more convincing display from the Raptors. And I say discarded from other teams. It's not these are high quality assets that the Chicago Bulls are paying up for. These are guys getting dumped to the Chicago Bulls. That's what it is. How else am I supposed to spin it? So again, clearly some issues here for the team, and we're getting into this state where it's so isolation driven by Barnes or Ingram, and it's a continuously shows to us here that the Raptors are capable of beating the lesser teams. They're capable of doing that. They're capable of getting enough stops to do that. But as we've seen in a lot of games recently, when they have to match the scoring and their defense can't quite play to this level against a team like the Pistons or the Knicks or the Celtics, they don't have the offense to sustain the pace of scoring, and that's where issues lie. And it feels like these are very playoff-style environments, like the clutch moments where they are struggling the most. So, yes, Defense is great, and that's a positive. Like, you play well on offense and not as well on defense. I think you look at the game differently, go, wow, they played so well. But when it's the opposite, again, just because we have the evidence of where they've struggled this season, it does become a little bit concerning. There is definitely, one of the major problems of this is that there's just a fundamental lack of shooting on this team. Such a lack of shooting on this team. And I think there's a lack of size, which we've talked about enough as well. But, the lack of shooting was really on display in that game against the Bulls. The Raptors shot 30% from 3 in this one. So did the Bulls, granted. But, we should be the better team there. We went 7 of 23 from 3. Taking 23 threes kind of shows that we were a bit hesitant. We kind of stopped shooting from the outside. We kind of stopped doing that. And kind of alarming when that's the case, only taking 23 when they're kind of just giving you that shot the whole game. The Bulls were content to let the Raptors shoot a lot. I remember watching, Isaac Okoro was wide over 3 a lot, and Patrick Williams, Raptors were mostly content, or at least early, to just kind of you want to shoot, you want to take that 3, go ahead and take that 3. We're gonna be okay with that. We're gonna allow that to happen. Other teams definitely are watching the Raptors and thinking, just let them keep shooting. It's just that's fine. We'll take that. And whose fault is this? Whose fault is it that the Raptors are such a bad 3-point shooting team this season? At one point, they were the worst team percentage-wise from beyond the arc this season. Is it the way the roster is constructed, or is it the individuals within the team? Honestly, is it really that much on the front office? This was a healthy game for the Raptors. We haven't had a lot of healthy games. This was a healthy game for the Raptors. Sure, Pirtle wasn't 100%, and he came off the bench this one, which was pretty interesting, actually, and he wasn't that much of a factor. But the only player who's on the injury report now is Chucky Hepburn, who is not getting NBA minutes. This is a healthy game, pretty much, as healthy pretty much as they've been this season. And you look at the players in the roster, Barnes has been better from 3 this season than the previous season. RJ Barrett is still, 35-ish%, and he takes the open ones, sure. Brandon Ingram's been okay from 3, kind of as expected. Murray Boy has been better than expected. But then other than that, Quickly has struggled from 3 this season. He hasn't been as efficient as previous seasons. Jamal Shed is still not a huge threat from deep. He can hit him, but he's not a huge threat from deep. Jacoby Walter has been pretty inconsistent, but decent from 3. Mama Kills has been great. Grady Dick has been very poor from 3. So, I look at the team here, and I think, okay, clearly the starting 5, we're missing some shooting. With Murray Boyles instead of Pearl, there's even, maybe a fraction more. But a lot of the burden of shooting for the starting 5 was on Emmanuel Quickley, who has not risen up to that. RJ Barrett's been okay. Sky Barnes has been fine, as has Brandon Ingram. That's not quite been enough. Where we really needed the shooting to come from was off the bench. And, there are guys who can shoot, Jacoby Walter probably could have been more consistent. Grady Dick has been incredibly underwhelming. We'll talk about him a lot later on in this stream. Mamu's been great as a signing. So I don't really, I think we accepted that the starting 5 was just going to be missing some of that because Brandon Ingram was just available at such a good deal last year, the trade deadline. He kind of had to take it. They've, really tried to move on from RJ Barrett, and maybe that some more shooting could have been injected into the starting 5 if that had happened. But, a lot of the low was on Emmanuel Quickley. He's talked about preseason how he needed to shoot more. He's not shooting more from 3, and for good reason because he's not hitting a lot this season. Off the bench, Grady Dick is supposed to be your main shooter. That's what you do. That's what you do. And he's not hitting 3s nearly consistent enough this season. They signed a guy, Mama, who is hitting his shots and is helping space the floor. They drafted Jacoby Walter as well to kind of help with this. I feel like they've done some pretty good work towards adding shooting to this team. So are there things that the front office hasn't addressed and kind of needs, could they inject some more shooting? Sure, but I think they've done a decent job with it, all things considered. At a certain point, the players just need to do it. So I'm kind of just wondering, and I'm going to ask, and I don't have the answer for this, what is it about this team that they're just unable to hit 3s? It's not like they aren't scheming open looks. They are doing that plenty, and they did it plenty against the Bulls. Guys are just not knocking down shots. Is it just a lot of players coincidentally aren't having a good shooting season? Is there something about the coaching, something about the mechanics that are being changed? I don't have the answer to this side of things, but to this thing. But again, we're looking at the NBA saying we're looking at a potential playoff first round. And these sorts of things, like, we're going to look back and think this could have cost us in a series. So frustrating, but at least the defense is still there. There are positives here. It's just like there's still a lot of questions about the offense. And where do you go if you can't just give the ball to Brandon Ingram and pray he bails you out? Like, what happens when he doesn't? Well, what happens when he doesn't? You have games like the one where you blow the lead against Orlando. You blow the lead against the Knicks. You blow the lead against the Timberwolves. Those sorts of games happen, and it feels like they're happening a little bit too frequently for the Raptors. So what do you do? I don't know. I think right now I just got to hope some of these guys just start hitting more of their shots. I think that's all you really can do as a Raptors fan right now.